What's up, spirit souls? I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here, I'm Chaitanya Das, and here is where I come to talk about things like spirituality, self-development, relationships, fitness, the law of attraction, and so much more. But most importantly, I talk about all these things in connection to the supreme intelligence behind the stringent laws of material nature, in connection to the one known in the Vedic scriptures as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-attractive one, Kṛṣṇa. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the content. If you do, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's good karma. Also, if you'd like more information on how you can connect with your inner self so you can live a happier and more fulfilling life, take a look at my website, link in the description below. There you'll find wonderful resources designed specifically to assist you with achieving that goal. Now, before I jump right into it, let me roll the intro. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Criticism and judgment. A while ago, I started contemplating why is it that I, and people in general, often stand in judgment of others. I think we can all agree that, for the most part, the judgment or criticism of a person or a situation is due to the disapproval of whatever we're witnessing. And it's actually impossible to live a life where one will not, at some point, observe a situation or someone else's behavior that will cause him or her to come to a conclusion. So I asked myself, when facing such a situation, what is the proper response? You see, we find several instances where acharyas or spiritual masters instruct their disciples to not criticize others. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, another powerful acharya or spiritual master in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, often spoke about how when we choose to criticize and find fault in someone else's activity, a quote-unquote bridge is created where the very fault or bad quality we're highlighting on that person gains access into our heart and immediately becomes an obstruction to our own development. Of course, these personalities have a thorough understanding of who we really are, the nature of this world, the Supreme Source, Kṛṣṇa, and the relationship between us, as well as a clear understanding of the highest goal of spiritual achievement. And because of this understanding and the position that they hold as guru or spiritual masters, sometimes they appear to be criticizing someone's behavior or a specific situation that they see as a hindrance to their disciples' spiritual development. In relation to this, an example is given where the acharya or a spiritual master is compared to a raging fire, where anything and everything thrown into it is completely consumed and destroyed. And we, the individual living entity, are compared to a smoldering fire, which, if not carefully tended to, can be easily quote-unquote extinguished.
Not like raging fire, so I like smoldering fire.
So having this understanding as a platform or foundation for our actions, we can conclude that for us, criticism or judgment in and of itself is just the ability to be able to differentiate. It's like choosing, or it's like choices. And since we have the ability to focus our thoughts and attention, and we are in this material world experiencing the results of our actions, it is natural that we experience this variety, and from this experience, we get new conclusions about what we prefer. So it seems reasonable to believe that evaluation, judgment, and conclusion, it's all part of the process. We can use as an example a situation where we find ourselves at a buffet with a lot of variety and choosing of what we prefer, as compared to condemning what we don't prefer. An intelligent person would not spend any time condemning all that shouldn't be there, according to their opinion or taste. So when we do it out of ignorance, meaning lack of knowledge, trying to push something away, that is when judgment becomes toxic to us.
That makes sense.
Thinking of ourselves and others as being the controllers or doers of activity, we give it our attention with the intention of correcting or influencing someone's behavior or situation in order to change the outcome so we can be quote-unquote happy or satisfied. But Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, quote, "The spirit so bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself as the doer of activities that are actually being carried out by the three modes of material nature." End quote. So, simply because in this attraction-based universe there's no exclusion, when we say yes to what we are choosing, we are including that in our existence. And when we shout no at what we don't want, we are also including it into our existence. Because this material universe doesn't differentiate between yes or no. It is the attention to the subject that includes it to our quote-unquote vibration, and eventually brings it into our experience. Now, one might say, well, what about the intention within the attention? If it is my intention to get that, or if it is my intention not to get that, wouldn't my intention serve me? And I say, yes. But when we are pushing against that, whatever that is, trying to control it, our intention is polluted by our own contradicted energy. And that's when we go out of alignment with the understanding of who we really are, our current relationship with Krishna's material energy, and Kṛṣṇa himself. One thing that is really important to understand is that because this is a vibrational universe, and because in this physical body we are interpreters of vibration, it is accurate to say that this is a perceptual universe. It is as we perceive it to be, and we perceive it to be through the lenses, so to speak, that we have active at the moment that we give it our attention. Most of us operate under the flawed premise that everybody sees things like they see them. But the longer that we live, we realize that that isn't true. So often we find ourselves trying to explain or often defend our position to others who are seeing it differently from us. And that is perhaps the most detrimental habit that we have. The habit of trying to talk somebody else into seeing things the way that we see it. Because that sort of judgment is trying to push away their wrong opinion in order to make way for our right opinion. Only to have our right opinion lost in the mix. And our attention to what we think is wrong becomes dominant in our vibration and patterns of thought. You see, everything that feels good to us feels good for one reason. We are in alignment or agreement with it. Anything that doesn't feel good feels not good for this reason. We are out of alignment with something we want. So the reason that we would condemn someone else's is because we're not really understanding these truths. And all conditioned souls live this way.
It needs correction.
You don't know that!
I'm the only one who knows that.
If we're still living a conditional life, where we really believe that our happiness or satisfaction is dependent upon the conditions changing, and since those people don't want to change the conditions, or they would like to change to something that we don't want, then their opinion feels like a threat to our happiness. Because our happiness is tied to our being able to change the condition. So, in a conditional world, if we believe that the conditions have to change for us to feel good, then we got to quote-unquote indoctrinate them, round them up, wrestle them to the ground, and make them agree with us before we can feel good. And that's not happening because the entire universe is not working with us in that regard. And even though we might be well-meaning and what we want it for good reasons, this idea of trying to control through words or actions goes against the nature of who we really are and the nature of this universe. This entire material universe is designed to bring forth preferences. And through those preferences, under proper guidance, we will move towards what's really wanted. So I'm realizing that what we really want to say to those who present us with contrasting situations or opinions is, thank you for being a part of the diversity that helped me to uniquely and precisely choose what I want. And thank you, Kṛṣṇa, or Supreme Source, for holding, through his eternal spiritual potency, the vibration of what I've asked for, and causing the culmination of its expansion. And good for me for being aware of the way I feel, so I can stay in vibrational or emotional accord with what I've asked for. And then I will be the example of grace and prosperity for the world to behold.
Behold,
But here's where it can get a little tricky, because now that the world beholds me, in my happiness, in my fortune, abundance, or whatever it is, now I am part of other people's diversity. So they might like or they might not like me. But I realize that how they feel about me is not my business, because I can't do anything about how they feel about me. The only control I have is between me and my own desires. And once I really figure that out, and once I'm consistent with that, then I will be out, I will see people evaluating, and I will see people doing things. But I also won't feel the need for them to change their lifestyle or their beliefs in order for me to feel good. And in their differences of things that I don't choose, I will discover what I do choose. So their very existence is causing me to carve out a better path towards what I want. That's why Kṛṣṇa, through his expanding energies, sustains that quote-unquote place of pure positive energy, understanding that our contrast is good for us and everyone else. So there's never a reason to condemn someone else in their brokenness, or in their sickness, or in their contrast, or even in their abusiveness, or in their anything that I don't like. There's no reason to push against them, because I know it doesn't get me to where I want to be. And in fact, it will get me to where I don't want to be. So the reason that I or anyone else would feel judgment or need to control another person or situation is because we are not secure in our own alignment and knowledge of who we really are, the nature of this material universe, and the nature of the Supreme Source, Kṛṣṇa. But enough of what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, if you'd like more information on how you can connect with your inner self so you can live a happier and more fulfilling life, take a look at my website. There you'll find wonderful resources designed specifically to assist you with achieving that goal. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and until next time, chant Hare Kṛṣna and be happy. Hare Kṛṣna.
So you should always don't criticize anyone. A devotee no harm. Even a worldly person. It has been told in Srimad Bhagavatam. Svabhava karmani Svabhava karmani none in thee. No prasansa. Don't glorify worldly persons, anything good or bad. If you are doing, all bad activities will come in you and will be spoiled.